Enrique Tarrio, the chairman of the Proud Boys, is looking to run for Congress, it would seem. The story from the Washington Times, they say Proud Boys chairman mounts Republican campaign for Florida congressional seat. And that is the most important bit of information you need in the story so far. I do believe it's fair after the fact to provide some context as to who the Proud Boys are and what this might mean. But first and foremost, that's just the news. And there's a reason why I'm framing it this way, because what I really want to get into here is how journalism is dead and why. And I'm going to show you. Because what do you think the response from digital media companies and legacy media was to this announcement? Do you think they simply just told you that the Proud Boys is a group of self-described Western chauvinists who have gotten into fights with Antifa at various political rallies? And we can even go further and say that many of these individuals were at Charlottesville, and it's a complicated history. Enrique Tarrio is himself not white, though the group has been accused of being white supremacist. I think that's fundamentally flawed on its premise. But Western chauvinist, you can accuse them of being, right-wing or whatever you want. You can talk about the context. It's all fair. But I'll tell you what blows my mind when it comes to modern journalism. First, let's try the front page of the Miami New Times because, Tarrio is running in Florida. Notice anything? Wait a minute. What's this story? Local douchebag announces 2020 congressional run. I couldn't believe it when I saw that. That's the story, and sure enough, yeah, that's how they framed it. Local douchebag announces 2020 congressional run. I mean, look, you don't have to like the guy, but the goal of journalism is to provide information, not your opinion. I don't know what local douchebag means, okay? Now, look, I get it. I know who Tarrio is. I've talked to him before. He's a Proud Boy. The Proud Boys are controversial. Recently, some Proud Boys were sentenced to prison for a fight they got into where they crossed the line. Yep. You can talk about all of Gavin McInnes' shortcomings, the calls to violence he's made in the past, and what the Proud Boys have done wrong, and it's all fair. They're not an innocent organization. I certainly think the media smears them a lot, for sure, and I think it's fair. Like, in my opinion, I think Antifa goes several steps further, and then they are very different. A lot of the criticism about the Proud Boys is due to their, I guess, my criticism of them would be they are essentially decentralized in a sense that they allow people to just join and say they're a Proud Boy, and then you end up with really awful people who have to be disavowed later. It's the problem with forming organizations like this. So in a sense, they do function in a kind of open way that results in bad people doing bad things. There you go. But certainly the media calling Enrique Tarrio white supremacist is kind of strange considering the dude's not white. So yes, the media smears them. No, they're not perfect. Yes, they've done things wrong. Hey, we'll call it like it is. But this is different. My criticism here is not about the Proud. I'm not here to say anything in defense of the Proud Boys. Absolutely not. The problem is journalism. Local douchebag announces 2020 congressional run. I wonder why that is. I gotta admit, when I first saw the story, I thought the site may have been hacked. I looked into the history of Miami New Times, and there's supposed to be some prestigious, verified, long-standing publication going back to 1987. In fact, the writer herself of this story, we can see her name is Jessica Lipscomb. According to New Times, she's been a finalist for the Livingston Award for Young Journalists. Now, look, I told you Enrique's running for Congress. You got the news. Anything else you want to read about him, what you believe about him, what he said, what people have said about him, I can only tell you there's a million and one things to go through. So for me, when it comes to reporting the news, I can say something like the Proud Boys have been accused by their worst critics, though they deny this. And even that is a very difficult thing to parse. Because just because someone accuses you of something doesn't mean it's fair to report the accusation. I've been accused of being a conspiracy theorist. I don't believe it's fair to report that accusation. You can talk about the Proud Boys fighting people, but giving you the news and trying to get rid of all of the mishmash of culture war nonsense is simply what self-described Western chauvinist group chairman Enrique Tarrio announces his run for Congress. If you don't like the guy and you're politically, and ideologically opposed to him, make an opinion piece. This is the problem. This really, really offended me. The Livingston Award. You know the Livingston Award? The Knight Foundation, Knight Wallace Fellowships for Journalism and Livingston Awards from Wallace House, University of Michigan. And this is what we get. We get what we deserve. I suppose I should actually read you the story. Now, here's the thing. Washington Times is the right opinion and reliable reporting. And notice they don't call him a local douchebag. And therein lies the big problem. See, I don't care about your opinion. I don't. Okay, you don't like the guy? Fine. I want to know what's happening. Why is he running? What does this mean? What has he raised? What's going on? But you want to inject all of your stupid opinions, okay? Everybody's got them and they smell bad. Let's read the story. They say a leading member of the controversial Proud Boys groups registered Friday to run as a Republican candidate in 2020 against Rep. Donna Shalala, Florida Democrat. Mr. Tarrio filed paperwork with the FEC to compete in next year's race for Florida's 27th congressional district, which includes part of Miami and the surrounding area. Now it's getting really interesting. Can a news organization make a statement like that as an overt news statement? This is the challenge, right? You know, Mark Cuban, I talked about this in my main segment earlier today. He wants regulation on media. You can't do it. But this is a good explanation for why he's trying, at least. Because calling Enrique Tarrio a local douchebag is an overt opinion piece. I'm not going to trust your assessment on what the news is when you open the story that way. And it's been up for days. So apparently it's on purpose. This is the problem. These news companies aren't news anymore. Okay? They're fringe ideological outrage. I don't care, man. Look, this guy's going to run for Congress, and this is a huge impact on politics. But you inject it, if you wrote a story and you talked about the controversy around him, fine. But when you open the headline by calling him a douchebag, you have poisoned the well, and people are going to exit out. They're not going to read it. Congratulations. You'll get your standing ovation from your woke virtue signaling class of 2019. But will anybody who needs to know what's going on take you seriously? You're going to get a ton of people saying, what is this? This is not informing me of anything. They say established in 2016, the Proud Boys, we know who the Proud Boys are. They say that Jacob Engels, an activist associated with Tarrio, issued a statement attributed to the newly declared congressional candidate. Our founders were simple men who wanted a world away from tyranny and away from government interference into our lives. A place to raise their children, watch their families grow, and build their businesses. A place to worship freely and speak freely. Unfortunately, career politicians like Donna Shalala have become obsessed with moving America away from these founding principles and towards a communist police state that thrives on robbing us of our God-given freedoms. Shalala is more concerned about being Hillary Clinton's puppet than serving the needs of District 27. They say that Shalala was elected to the House in 2018 after winning the seat held for decades by former Rep. Ileana Ros-Lehtinen, a Florida Republican. A message requesting comment from her re-election campaign was not immediately returned. Several members of the Proud Boys were arrested in October 2018 in connection with a fight that broke out following an appearance by Mr. McInnis at the Metropolitan Club in Manhattan. McInnis subsequently announced he was officially disassociating himself from the group to show jurors they are not dealing with a gang and there is no head of operations. They say that Tarrio, a Miami native, previously acknowledged attending the 2017 Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, where a local anti-racist activist was murdered after a party. Yeah, okay, we get that, right? You're dragging me through this stuff. Twitter subsequently suspended several accounts associated with the Proud Boys, including Tarrio's. Now, hold on, okay? I mentioned earlier that what you choose to report is going to have an impact on the perception of the reporting. And the most important thing to know is that Tarrio is running. He's a Proud Boy, and the Proud Boys were formed in this, that, and this, and they've been involved in these things. Beyond that, you start getting into more critical assessments. You could mention that the Proud Boys have done something positive if you want, but they do. Even the Washington Times reference things that are critical. Again, I do not care to defend Tarrio or the Proud Boys. They've done a lot of bad things. There you go, right? Well, we can criticize them for the things they've done, and we'll be honest about the criticism. The problem arises for me, what really frustrates me is that journalism is dead, okay? Journalism is a group of angry, whiny babies that want emotional vindication. Did they do anything effective in calling him a local douchebag? Do you know the guy? What's the point of the story? Other than to just make journalism, make sure everybody knows there's no journalism anymore. Miami New Times. This is a local paper. It's supposed to have its feet on the ground to understand what's happening. Even if you don't like the guy, you'd go and talk to him being a native to Miami and running for the 27th district. You'd go and talk to him, and you would challenge him on these ideas. Journalism's dead. This is what you get. So you deserve all of the outrage. I'm not talking to everybody. I'm saying the people who do this, don't be surprised when you get a Donald Trump president. Because a regular person will see this and go, whoa, like, what is this? Then Trump comes out and says it's the fake news. All they do is lie. And they're like, yeah, a headline calling a dude a douchebag? That's crazy. I don't even know who this guy is. That's what you're going to get from regular people who are just confused. What do you think's going to happen when Tario comes up to run now and he says, look at what the news does in this town. Look at how they lie and they smear. They're going to be like, yeah, because they're not going to see past the headline because you didn't give a fair assessment, a fair criticism. You created an opinion piece. If it's an opinion piece, fine. I don't see labeling for opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. And it's written by someone who's supposedly a finalist for this prestigious award. That's what we get now. Journalism is dead. It's broken down. And I get really, really frustrated because what's happening is these news outlets will smear and lie and defame and insult Republicans, conservatives, and the Proud Boys. I don't want to defend the Proud Boys. I just did several videos criticizing them. And I do think it's excessive how much prison time they got for sure. But come on, there's stuff to criticize them over. I'm not saying they're all evil, awful people, but like surely the media smears them. And every time they do, I have to say, chill out. Okay? You are not going to convince anybody when you do this. All you do is make the Times look like trash. Well, I reached out to them for comment, and they don't have a system where I can actually do that anyway. So I left them a message, whatever. This is journalism. It's dead. It's been trashed. I care about a world where I can tell you an honest assessment of who this guy is. You can go figure it out for yourself. Do you like the guy or not? Is he perfect? You choose, okay? I don't think he is. I think you can criticize him. But this is not journalism. This is you spitting on the grave of journalism and laughing while you do it because you're awful people. I'm just so sick of it. And you get journalists tweeting this out. They've become overt ideologues, and all they care about is themselves. I'm gonna wrap this one up. I got another segment coming up in a few minutes, and I'll see you shortly.